Hey guys, it's Robert Gardner with the Robert Gardner Wellness Podcast. I'm really fortunate to have Brenden Brown. Did I get the name correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I did get it correct. So, Brenden, can you tell the audience at home just a little bit about yourself and where they can find you online?
Absolutely. So I am Brenden Brown with Blue Tiger Wellness. I'm on all the major social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also Anchor with my own podcast. But I also have different social media setting for my astrology and cosmology business, but it is under Blue Tiger Wellness as well. And I do have a YouTube channel and also on Minds, as well as other platforms as well as Blue Tiger Wellness.
Yeah, cool. So, you were having a conversation with me online earlier today on Facebook, and we're sort of asking questions about massage insurance. Can you dive into your concern about that for a bit?
Sure thing. So the concern was diving into the practice of collecting uh, collecting fees for professional liability massage therapy insurance, while certain states and certifying boards have essentially made it illegal. Not illegal, I think I'm misspeaking here, but basically the state of California that I practice in has basically stated that they're following shelter in place orders for the COVID-19 pandemic, and have made it so that if you are practicing massage therapy uh, at any time while the shelter in place order is intact, that they threaten to revoke your license, or your certification at the state level for practicing during these shelter in place orders. And it just dawned on me, like, during the course of paying for this massage therapy professional liability insurance, that if they're going to still be collecting fees at that level and also on the certifying board level for massage therapy licensure, that uh, potentially could be considered, it's arguable that it could be considered extortion. It's a bit of extreme, I think, at some levels. I think you could probably prove that it isn't
So
and that
it's
it is.
only extortion when I do it to you. It's not extortion when the government does it to us.
Okay, got it.
It's like, no, it's like, let's be honest about it. Like,
Mhm.
like, and it depends on how you define those terms, but like that's how I see it. It's like right now, and this is a very testy time in America. People are having problems just like I'm having problems. Lowe's and Home Depot are open. Small mom and pop hardware stores, you see what I mean? Do you see where I'm going with that?
And that is
It's a
exactly.
weird scene to like figure out, because again, our situation is a little unprecedented. And I know we're talking about this little window into a specific industry, but the politics that I see in this little industry, if you expand it to other industries and then nationally, whoo, it smells.
It definitely does. It kind of smells, and I could be making a leap there to saying extortion, but I don't think it's too far out of the realm of being provable.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's interesting because the actual company, and I won't name names specifically, although we could only guess who I was talking to. Um, was the lady on the phone I was talking to. I was very interested to see what her take on it was, just as an employee of this company, right? And she said that, and I went the route of, during these uncharted territories, we haven't, this is unprecedented waters, and we're all in this together, kind of thing, which kind of disarmed her a little bit, which I'm glad it did. But basically she said, well, gosh, couldn't we all just use a massage right now? I might have to go black market on this, to go underground with it to get that
Yeah.
relief. And something, a part of me really came out when and it's interesting because for me, I was practicing massage before a license because I wasn't being paid to do so. Like it was for me, and I'm sure for you too, Robert. I'm sure because your passion is massage and much more than massage, in a sense. But for me, I've always was that person in the party that people would go to and be like, oh, I got this kink in my neck. Like, can you just like, I know you're really good at this. You seem really, able to do that for me. Could you just take a look at my shoulder? And I would just be like, sure. Um, I was always doing massages for people before licensure. And so to me, the idea of, well, you got to be licensed in order to collect payment for it was not like an alien kind of idea, because I knew how regulation worked in other industries.
Yeah.
But I just, not to belabor this any more than it already is, but I think we're starting to see that this you have to get licensed in order to make a livelihood, um, and you have to abide by the regulations at a national and a state and local level. Thing starts to get hairy when you start talking about livelihood, and being able to put food on your table and to be able to have shelter over your head. I think it rings really true to being able to care for a person when you started going into massage for those reasons, to help care for people. Um, Something wasn't sitting right.
I mean, it's a whole complex issue, and I take a lot of flack for being against massage regulation. And every time I mention that in the podcast, I have to go, okay, I think speed limit laws are bullshit. But I know if I speed, I can get pulled over and get a ticket. It's the same basic thing. Like, I don't necessarily agree with massage regulation, but I have 3 licenses in Texas alone. And I had to file and pay a fee of $100 to be a CE provider in Louisiana. And I have to deal with 50 sets of regulation in the United States alone, not to mention potentially other countries. That's why I'm against regulation, because it slows down the process of me dealing with education, which isn't even really the practice of massage. It's like selling information as opposed to doing something that would harm someone. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So like in Louisiana, just to give you an idea, so there I have a massage license in Texas, I have a massage instructor's license in Texas, and I have a massage CE provider's license in Texas. I have all 3 of those.
Mm.
To be able to give Louisiana therapists credit, I have to file for another license, give them information about my classes, and then every 2 years I have to renew that license. Then in Texas, when somebody takes my class, I keep a spreadsheet that I'm told to by the state that keeps record of the fact that that student took class with me. I have to keep documents and records on my clients. I have to keep documents on who took classes with me. Make sense? Now, what happens when somebody from Louisiana comes into Texas is I'm supposed to have that information, but now I have to go to Louisiana State Board's website and I manually have to report that student took my class. It's not enough for me to give them a certificate and they give it to their state board. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
it seems like a small detail, but when you're adding all this additional clerical and infrastructure on top, it's like it makes everything inordinately complex. So I'm, in addition to those 3 licenses and then a CE provider in Louisiana, every other state has different rules that I have to research.
Mhm.
Every other state, like you're in California, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so just for thought here, if I go to California and teach a class where you are, can I legally give you a session of what I do?
Uh, I can't say legally speaking. I don't think so. But I mean, I think, I think you can, because the laws are not about that. Uh, I don't want to say, but you should be able to teach what you're teaching but not, oh, wait a
I
minute.
can teach legally in most states, and here's the difference. Like I can go to Louisiana and teach a class to anybody, and
Yeah,
anybody can take my class. But for me to give them CE credit, which the therapist won't take my class unless they get CE credit.
but it's,
Does it make sense? So the
okay.
thing is, like, what it is like I would go to another state and I couldn't give students a session. So what I had to do was I had to make a 3-hour class and give you a certificate for class, because legally I can put my hands on you and demonstrate in class, right?
Got it.
It's
Got
like,
it.
in other words, it just makes everything more complicated, everything more complex, and people just don't think about it. It's like in America, land of the free, place of liberty, you got to have a license to cut hair. And if you come in and start doing braids, if you're a black person and you just do braids,
Yeah.
they'll make you go through school and spend $20,000 learning all the skills you have to do to be a hairdresser. And they're going, but I just do braids or work on dreads. I don't
So,
cut hair. And
so
it's
I
like,
get it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I get, like, so in order for people to get credit for their continuing education, they take your class and then you're able to be a CE provider. So it was easier for you to go the route of, in order to teach, but in order to practice in other states, to just be uh, going through this route. Okay, I understand now.
Well, because the marketplace I'm teaching, which are massage therapists, if they don't get CE credit, they don't value what I teach, because the state has to stamp it for students to consider it to be worth anything. I have an online subscription service that I've recorded every class I've taught for 2 years. The
Hmm.
consistent question I get was, do I get CE credit? And I go, I just recorded everything I do, and I screen share, teach you social media, teach you body work, mat base, table base. And they're like, do I get CE credit? Because they've been trained by the state to stamp that license on things. So a
Hmm.
student from Louisiana does not want to take my class unless I can give them CE credit. So what I have to do is I have to jump through additional hoops. In addition to having those 3 licenses and a license in Louisiana, I have AMTA membership and ABMP membership, and I'm a nationally certified provider. All of those cost money.
True.
Then with the National Certification Board, I have to submit each class that I give students CE credit for.
In all for in all really for, I mean, it's not just bureaucracy. It's that it is only valuable because I can mark it as a CE, so that I can continue to practice as a massage therapist in whatever state that I want to practice in, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a weird situation. It's kind of like I talk about it as like being a mechanic. So what qualifications do you need to work as a mechanic, car mechanic?
Right.
You need to be able to
You
fix a car.
yeah, absolutely. You got to know how to change the oil. You got to dispose of the oil
But
correctly. You got to,
if you have like certifications, like master certifications, sometimes people might, think that's great or whatever. You have additional, skills that you've picked up or gone through an institution to learn. But at the same time, most people are just concerned whether you can fix the car. In our industry specifically, that's just not the case.
mhm,
Clients don't care. What it is it's a huge cash grab by the state. And I could talk about this at length, but it's like, are people really in danger because people are braiding hair? No, but
no.
these boards and these professional organizations want their money. And they've
Yeah.
been instituted via licensure that you have to go through them. For me to be able to teach and give California therapists credit, Washington State therapists or Oregon therapists, to be able to give them CE credit, I have to be a nationally certified provider, which means I have to jump through those hoops. I have to go through that red tape, even though you could learn what I do for free on YouTube,
Hmm.
because that's what they want. And what I see it is that's the reason that I'm generally against regulation. But again, I always stipulate this, I follow the law as I understand it. I don't go into states and like break their laws because, well, I don't like this. I understand that there are legal parameters where if I'm breaking laws, people can do things to me, and I have a lawyer for a reason, that I ask questions because I'm trying to entrepreneur, and the enemy of entrepreneurship is regulation. It actually prevents me from doing things or slows down the process. Like I'm in the middle of working on multi-camera live streams where I'm in my studio and I literally push buttons and flip camera angles and show you exactly what I do.
That's awesome.
And here's the thing, that's pushing the edges of online education. But to be able to give students CE credit for that, and the reason I have to give them CE credit is why? Because massage therapists don't value it because they need to be stamped as having that, particular seal of approval. What I see it is like on insurance, there's one level, because do states, for instance, require that massage therapists have liability insurance if they're licensed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that insurance is provided by professional organizations, which is usually AMTA, Massage Magazine, ABMP, correct?
Yes.
That is a huge revenue stream for those companies. Yeah. And the
Oh
thing
yeah.
is, it's basically mandated to some degree by the state. So, for instance, here in Texas, I've been licensed for 16, 17 years. This year, I was finally fingerprinted here in Texas for the first time. Now,
Hmm.
the reason that they'll say that we have fingerprinting is because they're trying to protect the public. They're trying to prevent human trafficking, sex trade, sort of stuff by having my fingerprints. But that fingerprinting company made hundreds of thousands of dollars
Mm-hmm. Mm.
because they instituted that, and we are forced to go through that process. Does it make sense?
Now, yeah, and
Yeah.
now that's where that is where my question about it comes in when we talk about exchanging exchanging money, exchanging hands, right? um at what point is it considered, like who's benefiting from this is what I look at.
The
And
gatekeepers.
the gatekeepers. And that's what I have an issue with. And now there should be an equitable exchange, value for value here, right? And not that there's like you're a forced business operation on your side, on your business side. You were forced to have to take that step and to be legal, right? And to make sure that you are protecting the public. And it really, what it's not protecting the public as much as it is protecting their business interests.
Yeah.
um, and that's where my question came in with it, with my post in the group, was at what point do we look at this from all sides and all angles? And I'm just an
I
individual.
don't think we do that in America anymore.
Oh, sure. Well,
We're allergic to debate in this country. So even if, like, I
yeah.
have people on who sometimes disagree with me, they're like, Robert, legal massage and licensed massage licensure separates us from sex work. It makes us more legitimate. It means that we're respected as healthcare providers. And it's like, okay, those things are debatable. And I'm very happy to have those debates, and I'm very happy to be proven wrong.
Well, I think you're really brave to have
Well,
them, because for me, I would be like, you know what, forget you. Like, I don't need that, but I mean, seriously, like, I think you have a lot, a lot more courage than I would have, because to me, if someone has a different viewpoint, I'm okay with that. I'm not going to try to change your mind. It's when the people that I'm arguing with try to change my mind
yeah.
and not let me have the freedom of expression. It's almost gets to the point where, I can't speak up about something I literally feel like is happening and express myself without having some sort of backlash about it. But I think that's great that you're happy to have those kinds of debates with people.
Some of it is, I think some of it is perspective. And I feel like I'm a little bit of an outlier for a variety of reasons. And then because most therapists aren't CE providers,
Okay.
because they're not going from state to state, because they're not teaching online, they don't see all of the regulatory hurdles. So, for instance, COVID has happened. Students are requesting refunds for classes that happened 3, 4 months ago because
Wow.
we schedule out classes, right? So the
Mhm.
thing is, classes have to cancel. I go, okay, listen, give me time to go ahead and process this refund because I'm trying to balance my finances. Because if I had 3 revenue streams, 2 of them just completely collapsed. My online revenue is still kind of going. It's very small, but it's something. So the thing
Sure.
is like what people don't understand is like when I refund their money in full, which I will, I don't get a refund for that Airbnb. Those hosts are keeping that money. I don't get a refund when I rented out a facility and paid a deposit. Those hosts are
Mhm.
keeping that money. And I'm giving a full refund to students. So it's like it gets very tight fiscally very quick. And when you add on the regulatory stuff, that's why a lot of educators aren't going state to state and jumping those hurdles. The way that I deal with it is by completely maximizing online education. And online education is probably, it was what I was skewering before this, but I have nothing else to do now because I can't teach in-person classes and I can't see clients. So I'm teaching online and trying to, push forward. What I see it is as repeatedly is it always seems like a situation where the gatekeepers insert themselves into regulation to prevent competition. It's not about protecting the public. Nobody in Louisiana is worried that I'm going to cross the Sabine River and give a massage and somebody's going to be injured and then I'm going to be sued because I was this far over the state line. Like it's just arbitrary, stuff. It's like the degree to which the public is harmed by massage is why massage insurance only costs 150 bucks a year. Like it's almost nothing. Like, what's your car insurance compared to like what you pay in massage insurance?
Yeah, it's probably right about the same plus 100, give or take. But that's interesting. It's almost like, but this is where innovation has to come in here when laws and regulation and bureaucracy start to become gridlocked. It's almost like we have a moral obligation to start to challenge. That's why I was so, when I found you, Robert, like in your group and what you were doing, was so passionate about, we have to band arms together as therapists, and you as an educator. I was coming at a standpoint of doing some sort of online business about a year ago with teaching people foam rolling, how to do it, either before a workout or after a workout, because I did sense at some point, we have a single point of failure with hands-on work, um, and in getting people to a point where they started to want to do stuff for their own health. And you were really awesome. I forgot when I did this. I did this about a couple months, well, probably about 6 months ago, where I first introduced the idea of coaching people through foam rolling and how to
Hmm.
do it for themselves. And it was interesting. Some of the stuff in your group got to a point where people started to say, well, no, that's illegal. Then you're teaching
No,
massage.
that's
Um,
absolutely no. So go ahead and I want you to share that, and then I'm going to break that down legally as I understand it in Texas. I've seen this because of COVID. All these therapists are out of work. They're like, how do I work with clients online? And then therapists are coming up and like, that's not within your scope of practice. And I'm like, ooh, wow, you guys do not understand the law. But go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, I I I I want to make sure I'm not jumping too far here in what I'm saying, because I tend to overgeneralize. So please pardon me.
Oh, well,
What,
people would say the same thing about me.
well, we're white men, and so we
Ah,
tend to
well.
get a little, no. Let's leave that out of there. No. Um, we're villains. No, just kidding. So I think, for me, someone said, yeah, out of scope of practice, right? And for me, I said, see, there is no regulation about self massage. I did research in the physical therapy journals.
Yeah.
I did my research on the NIH sites and stuff like that, and even like all the massage therapy publications that are out there about foam rolling.
Yeah.
And really, no one had cornered the market on self massage to the point where you couldn't teach it. But I mean, why would anyone? And then it got me starting to think, well, why would anyone want to like be being a certification or making it needing to be certified? It's because they want to make money off of it. Is what really my conclusion was.
So the certification process, the public has been trained that they need mommy and daddy's stamp of approval, whether it be government or regulatory organization or a certification organization. The certification in and of itself doesn't mean much, especially if it's like an unlicensed activity. My understanding when I look at it is the students often want, oh man, certification is rough, bro. it's a rough conversation that I continue to like argue with other educators and massage therapists about, because once you have a license to do massage, you have a license. That's it. Like you can get a cupping certification, but it doesn't mean anything legally. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
allow you can't go into a state and do cupping without a massage license in that state. It's like the license is a mandated by the state thing. The way I see it when it comes to people teaching online, and this is what I cut my teeth, okay? I learned intellectual property law with a lawyer the hard way because I had to send cease and desist letters and had problems with students and all sorts of stuff. In the end, when you go online and you're teaching somebody how to use a foam roller or a tennis ball to work on themselves, you may be using information from your massage practice. This is not doing massage. It's not. Basically, you are a coach. And now that you are a coach, here, guess what? You're selling information online. Congratulations. You just bypassed laws in nearly all 50 states. There is no law. There is no legal control. You sell information on the internet now. There is no boundaries. There's no geographic borders. And you might as well be on the deep web of the internet. Like, it's anarchy. There's no rules. There's no regulation. There's no whatever. Like, you can help people in Ukraine or Kiev just as easily as you can people in Atlanta and Georgia. It's like the question about, well, scope of practice, it's like, okay, if you're putting hands on people, you're acting as a massage therapist. Then we have a scope of practice issue. If you're teaching a massage class online, there's there's almost, my lawyer told me, he's like, there's almost zero liability, almost.
Wow.
No, there is no law. There is no, like, Georgia is not going to send you a cease and desist letter because you're teaching an online class from California. That's not how that works legally. When massage therapists are trying to learn how to teach online, they're becoming a coach. There is no law for being a coach. There is no law for teaching that online. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
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 It's a different, context when they're like, it's not within your scope and practice. It's like, well, you're not doing massage. You're teaching. You're selling information now. That is not a licensed activity that way. And they'll say, no, you have to have a massage instructor's license. And I'm like, no, in Texas, that's if you're going to teach at a school. Or if you're like me and you want to become a CEP in Texas and you live in Texas, then technically I think I'd have to have all three. Does it make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is massage. Like, this is probably more dangerous than hair braiding, but not by that much. And here's the thing. I've literally heard massage therapists say this. My argument would be that anybody can do massage, but you can't charge money for it unless you have a license.
Got it.
That's what the difference is, because it's a trade protection to keep other people out of our turf. And basically what I said was, well, anybody can do massage. And they said, yes, anybody can do massage, but not everybody can do massage therapy. And I'm like, oh, get the fuck out of here. Like, I just don't, listen, I got 3 licenses. I get the next one. I'm a member of professional organizations and regulatory. I follow all the laws, and it's a bunch of bunk. Like, it doesn't really amount to much of anything, except it's a way of creating revenue streams for these states and regulatory organizations. That's how I see it. The challenge that I've had as an educator is like, I'm one of the only educators that I know personally who is regularly told by massage therapists that what I teach is not massage. I am told that regularly. And I say, okay, so if it's not massage, I'm going to go teach the yoga community globally. And they go, oh, but they don't have a license. And I'm like, doesn't matter. You said it's not massage. And then it's like, okay, what is massage? And that is a, woo, man. Once you start digging, I'm like, oh, it starts to fall apart real fast. And I do not like what I see. In the end, when I talk about this online multi-camera live streams, this is where I'm going. When I have the capacity to multi-camera live stream, here's likely what's going to happen. You're doing something in relation to teaching people to use a foam roller or a tennis ball to work on themselves. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to start marketing a little bit more directly to the public, having couples classes, partner classes, something along those lines. Anybody can learn from that material. I'll be teaching some things that are likely somewhat similar to what you do, but I'll be doing it multi-camera live streams. Then I can go to the yoga community and teach them yoga assists. And then I'll be teaching using multi-camera live streams. And then I'll go to the massage therapists and continue teaching them. And some of these therapists are going to be like, but you're teaching these other 2 groups of people. And I go, yes, welcome to the internet. Like, why would I want to like decrease the size of my market? Like, I'm trying to educate. And part of that education is educating the general public. One of the things I've been very critical of massage therapists about is that the general public still thinks we're Phoebe from Friends. Because massage therapists aren't picking up their phone and showing people what it is we do specifically. Does it make sense?
Thank you. And it's the whatever they learned in school maybe done at an effectiveness of when, and it depends too, because some people have a lot of hands-on experience. I can sense that, and I can sense their passion about what they learned in massage school. But I think when it comes to like being effective as a therapist, it's like, yes, you want to take continuing education. I get that, but you're right. It's the conditioning. It's the conditions that their mind has bought into that make them want to continue having mommy and daddy being like, nope, this is what you have to do, and you can go into this certain confines. But I have a problem with that. When like the issues like what happened to you with your business started happening, where you were like, well, I'm just going to go and teach these people. If you guys are wanting to own that word of what massage is and what massage therapists are able to do or what their scope of practice is, I think innovation is the killer for what the whole, I don't know, it's just.
Massage therapists feel protected. And they feel protected primarily, oh man, so there's some really deep legal terrain here. They feel protected as a class because they have a massage license. So have you looked at Stretch Lab and Stretch Zone?
Yes, there's one there's one in the other county.
Do you have to have a license to work at Stretch Lab or Stretch Zone?
Nope.
What's the difference between what they're doing at Stretch Lab and Stretch Zone and massage?
Not much.
They don't call it massage.
They would argue.
What I keep telling people is it's much closer to what I do. What I keep telling people is like, listen, if the big guys can do it, I can do it.
Absolutely.
And it's like, I get tired because I'm trying to drag massage therapists along, but basically I would have to be backed by emails from NCBTMB, by articles in Massage Magazine, by school owners as being legitimate, and this is something you can study because they are the gatekeepers. You have to get them to let you in. And I went, I'm on the internet. Like, there's no barrier. The barrier of entry is gone. Here's the thing. Everyone knows that what Uber did was illegal. They ate the cab industry, and they didn't have a cab license. And they said, no, it's ride sharing. And they said, try to stop us because we're on the internet, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing is massage therapists feel protected as a class. And I'm like, oh, no. Oh, man, listen, massage regulation is not, in my opinion, in any way, shape, or form, protecting the manipulation of soft tissue. It's protecting the word massage. If you don't have a license, don't call it massage. And to give you an example of how complicated this gets, do you know much about my Thai massage jam?
Yes.
Yeah. So the Thai massage jam I started like 8 years ago here in Austin.
That's awesome.
And this will show you how complicated things are, okay? So Colorado. Now, you can go to Colorado. Did you turn your video off?
Oops. Sorry about that. One
No, you're fine.
There we go.
So in Colorado, you can buy hash, edibles, extracts. You can buy, I think, mushrooms that were decriminalized. And then Colorado passed some laws regarding education, not massage education, just education within their state borders.
Okay.
Which meant I was going to have to go through a school and apply underneath the school to be able to follow the distinct laws that were set up in Colorado for education. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
More red tape. Now, in Colorado, you have to have a license to do Thai massage. You don't have have to have a license to do Thai body work. And I said, what's the difference? And they're like, so here's the deal. Legally, I have a trademark for Thai massage jam. It is the one certification that I offer my students. If you take Intro Thai with me and decide to run a Thai massage jam, I put you through some training, have you sign a contract, and pay $100 fee. Rub-a-dub-dub, wave a wand, ba-boom, you are now Thai massage jam certified. Make sense?
Right. Totally.
Now, because of laws in Colorado, could I take a yoga teacher and certify them to run a Thai massage jam in Colorado?
Probably.
So here's how it works out. Legally, I can certify anyone to run a Thai massage jam. But because Thai massage jam has the word massage in it, it is likely that their state board would come in and smack it down. Does it make sense? And say you have to have a license. Now, can I take a Thai body worker in Colorado and certify them to run a Thai massage jam?
Yes.
And legally, I can certify them, but their state board will likely come in and knock it down because Thai massage jam has the word massage in it. And that's what that's just Colorado, but that's the legal situation that I'm dealing with, like again and again and again, where there's all these barriers to entry because of the word massage. Once you remove that word, it's easier for me to go into other industries and to bypass state regulations in a sense, to go into other, communities and teach. But the thing is, if you remove the word massage therapists don't want it. There's a branding issue. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the owning the word massage then is really what it's about.
And who owns that word?
For me, we've gotten to the point where that it's let's create another language. It's just, it's to the point where that's
Well,
where I was thinking, well, I'm going to do foam rolling
yeah.
because for me, it's like, this is ridiculous. Massage is massage. And when you're doing massage or body work on a person, no one's going to care who owns that. They're going to be like, oh, this feels great, or I feel amazing afterwards,
Yeah.
and that's
Now, and the
what I
public, for the most part, the public doesn't care. It's
sure.
therapists. Therapists, like, when's the last time the public reported somebody because they didn't have a massage license if they do good work? The public
I
doesn't care. The
care.
public just wants a low-cost service. The public doesn't care as long as the quality is good. It's massage therapists who report people for working without a license because they're angry that somebody else didn't go through their legal and regulatory hurdles.
Yeah, that's the
So
tough.
is the public, it's COVID right now, is the public reporting massage therapists who are working right now?
Mm-hmm. Mm, sure.
No, the,
I
the
mean,
public is like, well, I want a
oh, the
massage.
public. Oh, I thought you meant, yeah, the
Yeah,
massage
but
therapist. Literally,
who's reporting therapists for working without a license? Other massage
massage
therapists.
therapist, totally. And yeah, the public's just like, I want a massage right now. I don't care
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
And it's a weird, regulatory scene. And like, if I misspeak or you get angry and stuff, not you specifically, but the audience, you got to understand, I've been dealing with this for a long time. And it's like being in a situation where you're teaching cutting edge, innovative body work, but your own industry doesn't recognize it as massage, means I'm in a weird no man's land floating on the internet trying to figure out who I'm supposed to sell this to. Because the people with the licenses are saying, well, this isn't for us. This is too different. And I go, it's effective. It's easy to use. It's currently unavailable. There's an entire market we can expand into. And they're like, oh, it sounds like a lot of work.
I mean, but like the amount of value that it has though is extraordinary. Even just for people to be able to use it in their own practices, it saves their hands. It saves them from being injured. Number 4, 5, and 6, and then it's just I don't understand the point. Going into this, it's like, yeah, you're right. It is about the making the money part of it that the massage therapists care about, being able to continue to make money doing massage. And the licensure aspect is like, I don't have an issue with that, but they continue to make sure that those fees for still being certified or licensed to be a massage therapist are still paid, whether or not there's a COVID-19 pandemic going on or not.
Yeah.
And to me, I have kind of, it starts to beg the question, is this really about keeping people safe from a massage therapist working on them, or is this about them continuing to get revenue?
It's
And
about the massage industry protecting itself from competition by creating a barrier of entry. So just a quick example. Have you ever seen a Catch Me If You Can?
yes, with
Do you
Leonardo DiCaprio or
DiCaprio? Yeah, Frank Abagnale was the guy, the real guy who did this. Do you remember the scene with him and Tom Hanks where he's like, Frank, how did you pass the bar in Louisiana? You remember that scene?
yeah, very
And he
generally.
said, I read the book. Because in Louisiana at that time, you didn't have to go to law school. As long as you could pass the bar, anybody could take the bar exam and you're now a lawyer. Later, they have that law changed. Why?
People found that loophole more and more.
Because lawyers went to law school and went $100,000 in debt and said, we're going to prevent competition, and you have to go into the same amount of debt or have the money to be able to go to law school just like we did. Now, the reason they say is, we have to protect the public. We have to protect the public. We have to protect the public. Make sense? It's always, we got to protect the public. That's all.
repeating
Think
it
of the
over and
children.
over and over and
Think of
over.
the children. We got to protect the children. You know, there's got to be a license, right? Like we couldn't just have unlicensed people going around. And it's like anybody can do massage. You can't charge money for it unless you have a license. That's what the difference is. It's serious. As soon as you add money to the equation, state gets involved.
Got it. And I mean, that's why, like, I put together the Formaling Secrets group and ebook for free. Like, anyone can join it
Yeah.
and be a part of that for free. You know, I think, and that's kind of what you have going on with your stuff too, is there's like the free offering to kind of show people that it is valuable. And you know, at that point, it's really not a massage thing, you know, and if it's free, then I'm giving offer of value to you. And then if you find it valuable and you want to get other specific services, one-on-one coaching, then,
Yep.
or being able to learn, you know, and do this for a living, then sure. But yeah, it was just really enlightening to talk about this, because for me, I have been kind of a rebel. I've been known to be a rebel for a little bit of my life. And you know, whenever people start saying, you know, I probably in your group kind of was like, oh, extortion. And then, you know, most people, I'm interested to see how many people voted before we started this. There was about like 40 people that said, no, it's not extortion. And there was about, I think there was about 20 people that said it was.
Yeah.
So that's about half. Where we started this call, it was about half and half. People were like, I could go that extreme with calling it extortion, but I was just curious, and I'm glad that
Yeah.
this opened up, you know, this conversation, because coming
Yeah.
from
It's
you
just
as an
tons
educator,
of.
yeah,
Ooh. Well, I mean, listen, you talk about being a renegade. Like, there are other people who call me names in our industry, and these are respected educators. These are
mm,
people that Massage Magazine and professional organizations like. And I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not breaking any laws, and you can talk to me about ethics all day long. I was a philosophy student. I have a focus in existentialism and ethics. I'll have the debate with you. Like, I've had this conversation repeatedly. It's not because I don't want the public to be safe. I follow the laws. The laws are instituted for a reason, regardless of what I think about them. Does it make sense? The
got it.
government, right? Like, students are contacting me and they're like, well, you're an educator. When can I go back to work? And I'm like, whoa. Like, one, do what your state says or your federal government says.
Mm,
I'm not the arbiter of like when you go back to work. That's between you and the state. Like, I'm not going back to work until the state of Texas and TDLR says, okay, it's okay for you to go back to work. Like, I don't just like make that up on my own. I'm not going to risk my license over that, but they're coming to me for information because, well, you know, well, you're a respected educator. And I'm like, respected? Yeah. Like, depends on how you define that term.
yeah, it's almost like it's what people believe and what they perceive can kind of get a little crossed there. But I mean, it's this one of those things where I'm glad to be able to find someone who's gone through those hoops, because for me, it's like, you know, and my group's pretty small right now. It's only probably about 52, 53 people, but they are starting to get more involved, and I'm starting to do group classes, like where we're doing it together, and I'm teaching them how to do some effective techniques with foam rolling. And it's been great. I will say, like, people are feeling a lot less tension, a lot less stress when they do that, and it's been great. Um, but I think I'm gonna start to come out with like a new store online, because I think doing it through social media is kind of, I think I got to do it kind of through my own site, because, you know, with social media, it's kind of hard these days without paying for marketing and boosting
Yeah.
ads and such to get noticed and to actually roll those people over into paying clients. But I think I'll have a store pretty soon, which I'm excited about.
Yeah. I mean, I would encourage you to be completely honest. Continue teaching your stuff to massage therapists, but I would honestly tell you to start going directly to the public. go directly to people who are having problems and say, listen, I can help you with your upper back pain. I can help you with your lower back pain. Come in and let me do like a little free, giveaway group class or whatever. Get those people in, and then once they're in your funnel, so to speak, continue training them and like go into more detail, whether that be a class with only 3 people where you're talking with them, or a private session just one-on-one online, something along those lines. I honestly think, and it's difficult for me to take my own advice because I'm still trying to drag massage therapists where I suspect what's going to happen. I have theoretical like speculations about this. Once I figure out the multi-camera live streams and I can do it seamlessly, I think I'm going to figure out that the main market for what I've been teaching is either the yoga community or the public. It's not massage therapists at all.
Hmm.
The yoga community or the public are going to be the ones who are rabid and crazy about it and how effective it is. Massage therapists get, like, in my experience, there's a little pushback because, well, this isn't what they taught us in school, because the school owners are the authority figures. They're the ones that stamp it with seal of approval. Make sense?
Sure.
Like, if it was so effective, the school would teach it. I'm like, ooh, if Uber was so effective, the taxi company would have created it. That's not how it works. The cab company was using regulation to try to squash competition, and Uber came along and said, oh, watch this. And then the hotel chains were trying to use regulation to squash competition, and Airbnb came along and said, oh, watch this. Massage therapists are this next group that think they're like this protected class. And I'm like, whoa, I don't feel comfortable looking at my career that way. That makes me very uncomfortable in a number of levels.
Right. And I think it should make other people, like, anytime, and even things like the healthcare industry, the nurses at any point could become wiped out or affected all in one sweep of regulation. We just don't know how safe we are until things like regulation start to come in and sweep through and make changes. And it was so easy for this to come in and wipe out all these small businesses,
Yeah.
um, and for people to think that it's going to return back to normal, I think is a bit um, naive. But I think we have to continue to morph and utilize more skills, in that we were something a lot fundamentally a lot different than just being a massage therapist. I think that is, like you said, that stamp that they give the teachers and the organizations, the education organizations give, that rubber stamp. You're now a massage therapist. And I think we're a lot more than that before we decided to really take that on as our sole identity. And I think this could happen to other industries too if they're not
Yeah.
careful. People think they're protected by whatever they think they're protected by, and it's just, this is not the world that we're living in. We're living in a global landscape, and
Yeah.
I'm glad you're teaching that your stuff outside of just the US, because it's like you're competing on a global level too. So it's just, it makes total sense the way that you're doing it, because there is no international I mean, really, it's the sky's the limit for you, because it is education. And
There's a distinct challenge about like marketing and branding, that I'm still going to have to deal with. And like COVID, just like any other therapist, COVID threw a complete monkey wrench in my business. Like, everything was going along cool, and it was just like a bomb dropped, and it was like, oh man, like I'm completely decimated. Like, it's almost you have to start over again, because it's like when you take away class revenue and you take away client revenue, it's like, well, you're taking away 2 out of my 3 revenue streams. Like, any staff I had is gone. Like, I can't afford to pay people. Like, I'm trying to, like, I'm having, nervous conversations about my mortgage at this stage, because it's like, well, how do you pay your mortgage or deal with bills when all of this has happened? From a regulatory standpoint, massage regulation is something that I've looked at, and I've looked at in detail for just years and years. And I think fundamentally it doesn't really do what massage therapists think it does. not when you really dig. On a superficial level, it's like, oh, yeah, well, you can't, you can't do this. There's a scope of practice, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. And it's like, we have speed limit laws. Do people speed?
Sure
And do
do.
people get ticketed? So why do we have speed limit laws? I mean, we could install something on your car that would not allow you to go over certain speeds,
That reminds me.
but
That
the
reminds me of
state
that
needs
Tucker
revenue.
film. That reminds me of that Tucker film. That one with Tucker, the the different types of vehicles that were actually safe and were going to be, saving people's lives, and or more than I think. I think that the film was great because it proved that if someone went up against and was a competitor to Ford and those big guys, that they were taken out either by blackmail or blood ties or what have you, or bullying.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's the kind of world we're living in with
Well, do you know
regulatory
do you know
bodies.
much about Gary Vee?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is,
so I caught this in one of Gary Vee's talks like eons ago, and Gary said something about Texas, and he's like, yeah, like he just made some gesture towards Texas that he didn't like Texas, and somebody kind of called him out from the audience. And basically, what it is Gary cut his teeth working with his father in the liquor store selling wine, wine library TV, shipping wine in the mail. Okay, I live in Texas. And when Gary was called out on it, he's like, I'll tell you why I don't like Texas. Because we started shipping wine into Texas. And a company called Specs, which is in Austin, by the way, there's a company here in Texas. I don't know if they're originally from Texas, but Specs, wine, liquor, and fine foods or whatever. Specs went to state regulators and said, you need to pass a law forbidding online like liquor sales. You can't ship wine in the mail in Texas.
interesting.
Now, why did Specs do that? To prevent competition.
Competition, and you're not coming to my table. Like you're not at
You
this table for
you got to
dinner.
pay you got to pay the gatekeeper. And it's
Uh-huh.
like there is instances of that. Like if you talk to small business owners, they see this again and again and again and again. So in addition to paying taxes and getting a fire marshal's inspection and doing all the stuff you have to do to run a business, you run
Mhm.
into this additional like regulatory like hurdles and red tape, which you're like, why can't I ship wine in the mail? Like you're putting it in a truck and driving it across state lines. Like what's the deal here? But it's like even Gary got to follow state laws. It's just the way it is. You can't make moonshine. Liquor companies do not want you competing with their marketplace, and that's essentially how I see regulation on many many levels. Now when you get into things like people always bring up this notion about, well, I wouldn't want a doctor to do surgery on me if they didn't have the proper license. And it's like, sure, but could you perform a surgery and just not call it surgery? Everybody's like, well, of course not. And I'm like, exactly, because the American Medical Association would come after you, and that's the way it is. But do people really care about massage? And do they really care that a bottle of wine can come in the mail? But businesses that prevent competition do. So, for instance, the time massage jam I run, to give people a further example of this, the time massage jam is what I tell people is a community bodywork event. You don't have to have a license. You don't have to know anything. And people were like, well, who's it for? And I'm like, whoever walks through the door. I will work on them. I will teach them. I will share with them, and I'll show them how to work on each other. And I do it, and it's quick and it's effective. I'd have a 19-year-old from the acro yoga community here in Austin in the time massage jam. They completely fall in love with the work. They're like, this is amazing. This is what I want to do for a living. And I'm like, oh, you want to do time massage for a living? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, you got to go to massage school. And they're like, oh, but they don't teach me what you do. And I'm like, I I can't give you a massage license. And they're like, no, but you know all the stuff. You can teach it to me. And I'm like, that's not how this works. You
Mhm.
have to go to the massage school, get a license, and then you come to me for continuing education. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, listen, I don't make these laws. They make those laws. Go
Mhm.
complain to them. Like, I'm here, I'm showing you how to do it. But you can't go just charge just because you learned something with me. Does it make sense? And then I would push it further and say, okay, guys, how about this? How about this? So Thai massage is its own distinct classification in Texas. And what I'm going to do is we're going to get enough money, we're going to band together, we're going to hire a lobbyist, and we're going to get laws passed that say you have to have a specific license to do Thai massage in Texas. And the way you get that license is by going to my school. Isn't that nice? And they're like, oh, and I'm like, well, that's what they did. That's exactly what they did. It's like school owners are the ones who like the massage laws because it guarantees a revenue stream. They are the gatekeeper. You have to go to their school. Now, to bring it even further, all right? So a lot of states right now, I think this is hilarious, by the way. A lot of states don't allow CE credit for online instruction of stuff that's hands-on. So most states, not all, most states will not allow you to get CE credit for anything you learn online that's teaching hands-on soft tissue manipulation. Make sense?
Correct.
Many states will not allow that.
Okay.
But because of COVID, the states are waiving that and saying, just give us whatever certificates you can get. A lot of states are doing this. And I'm like, well, what changed? Can people all of a sudden learn online whereas they couldn't learn before? So why do states not want to allow people to learn online? To prevent competition from assholes like me working in their garage in Texas. That's why.
Yeah. It's almost like this umbrella of it's like you had all these like levels with the state and the local stuff, and then the national, you gotta be nationally certified to teach. And then now it's like this other like umbrella over that, which is probably, it is a global thing, probably World Health Organization sanctioned.
Yeah, so I haven't taught in other countries yet. I don't know, like, every place you got to do research, and it's like going to some places there probably isn't even massage law, so it's like it's a moot point. Does it make sense?
Got it.
Yeah. So it's like I almost wish I had somebody on who was like arguing with me about regulation instead of just agreeing. But at the same time, I think these ideas will be covered like again and again and again via podcast. And it's part of the reason I get kind of cantankerous, because I have to deal with all this additional regulation. There's no specific audience for what I'm teaching. Doesn't matter that it's effective, doesn't matter that it's easy to teach, doesn't matter that it saves the therapist's body. The therapist is like, this isn't what we learned in school. And I'm like, what you learned in school is the past. I don't use shit I learned in high school either. I don't remember the last time I figured out a fucking square root. I don't use that, but I use the shit I use every day to help people in pain. And here's what happens. The clients freak out and go, why isn't this everywhere? And I'm like, because massage therapists keep telling me it's not massage. And they're like, what? The public is not the issue. Therapists are.
Therapists.
Because once they're trained in this box, here's what I see. I teach classes, and occasionally somebody from the public will come in. I had a couple take a class one time. They were learning to work on each other. I have like an occasional yoga teacher, like personal trainer, Pilates instructor, or something that'll take a class with me. They're so much easier to teach because I don't have to deprogram them. Massage therapists are the most difficult people to teach because I have to destroy the box that they've been encultured into.
I could totally see that. Like what I learned when part of the massage program that I was in was back in Illinois. It was about 30 minutes away from downtown Chicago. They were starting to go into like the Deepak Chopra stuff, like the 5 agreements, like, which had nothing to do with anything about massage, in my opinion, because it was complete and utter mind control like the way that book was written, that 5 agreements thing, or 4 agreement, I don't know, however many agreements it was. It was written in a hypnotic language, and I
Yeah.
pointed out my paper. I pointed out this to the massage teacher, and I actually got a pretty good grade on it. But I was pretty much saying, like, this has nothing to do with teaching people how to do massage, and it is actually all about like teaching to manipulate people's minds. And she
Ooh.
I will send you that paper, Robert,
Yeah.
because I think you get a kick out of it.
Yeah,
But
it's like again, I follow all the laws. I just see it go down again and again. So Illinois, can you do massage without a massage license in Illinois?
yes, without getting paid to do so. But if you're
What
getting,
happens if you call it Thai body work?
uh, I think you could probably do that and not get sued for it, or not. No one would care.
And that's the weirdest, like from a regulatory standpoint, that's why likely over time, basically everything in person gets more red tape, more regulation, more infrastructure, more baggage. And I go, wow, online is freedom. Online is less liability. Online is global distribution. What's going on in Tokyo right now? Well, come on, we're going to teach you. When all this shuts down, it's like squeezing a tube of toothpaste. I just follow the least resistance and go online. And when I wind up online, because I'm a body worker, like I was totally like, listen, I'm talking on my phone. I got a headset plugged in. This shit was like, I was not interested in tech at all. I wanted to work one client at a time and change lives. And then once I got squeezed out on the internet, I went, ooh, wait a second. This isn't the same thing. This isn't even the same business. Like this is information is like global distribution of information in a mass marketplace, like is just a very different, situation. It's like if you can teach the public directly, that's a much bigger audience than massage therapists. Does it make sense?
Totally.
Yeah. And also I think it has a bigger impact. Like,
And that's where I get into uh with my education with the marketing stuff was like uh from like someone who's doing Tibetan medicine, which he actually does stuff like Kumnai and some other techniques. But I took this kind of this, we were talking about funnels. I took a Russell Brunson kind of funnel challenge thing and learned a lot. And, and it kind of spawned this foam rolling secrets product that I'm offering. And what I realized was that same exact thing. Well, I was thinking, well, why am I going to try to teach or massage therapists if they're just going to argue against what I'm doing? It's like, I'm not creating this for those people. I'm creating it because I want to give that value to people that find it valuable, and so
yeah.
that they can change their lives. Not
It's weird to have the conversation with you because I think it's easier. I've noticed this. It's easier for me to give business advice to other people than to take my own. I can see your business so clearly. And I'm like, oh, yeah, listen, I mean, continue to teach massage therapists, but you just need to go teach the public. Go out, find those people, help them directly with the problem. And the thing is, but for some reason, it's harder for me to manifest that in my own practice. Like I'm still um, dealing with that from a standpoint as a business. Like you're selling to a different audience at that stage. Like the thing is, I do have some people who are just people from the public who are subscribers who learn with me online, but I haven't really transitioned into teaching that specific market.
totally. Well, and I think like at this point, like what I started realizing with this, doing the foam rolling marketing stuff, was going into something that's more about like spiritual development, which is the spiritual stuff that I've been doing is Tibetan cosmology, which is a kind of more about controlling and developing your mind in a sense, to where you can figure out what's going on, uh, astrologically speaking, to and to also cast things that can actually make things manifest in your world. And Bon happens to be kind of pre-Buddhist. It was kind of the indigenous, they called it the Way in Tibet, before the Chinese came and slaughtered the Bon. There was something called Bon, which was a very ancient, um, it's sort of a religion, in the sense, but it became a way for people to become unhindered, as you can say, in allowing people to remove karmic patterns or negative habitual patterns. That's what they call karma, is what it is. Is really habitual patterns that keep you stuck and bound to this wheel of suffering. And I've been studying it with a master who's a really, really generous guy. And he's teaching about 15 of us to do cosmology. And what we do is we cast kind of these ancient methods used to draw like kind of like maps, and it can kind of show you, it's kind of these boxes that all kind of is like a portal or a map into whether it's your world or your business world or what have you. And we use ancient Tibetan methods to kind of actually make things manifest in your world, through magical means, using spirits and stuff like that. And I actually started to be able to help people on that level, where if everything was done supernaturally speaking, I think all this would be a hell of a lot easier for you. But I'm not sure what your views are on the unseen world or what have you. But
I teach massage therapists, very tactile, very, this is what I can get a handle on. Some people mistake that I'm not spiritual, and I think that's completely no. Like, this is what I get a handle on, and I know it accesses your mind and your spirit. Like, that's how it works. This is the handle. This is where I start. Like, I don't squash other people's spiritual beliefs or religious beliefs or anything like that. I'm very, very open to those conversations, but I don't spend a lot of time talking about energy in class. Does it make sense?
totally.
Yeah.
And I think that's smart, because I think for you, that's not what your business is in. This Tibetan cosmology, it's used to aid people with life guidance, and following these kinds of things could actually help you avoid obstacles and misfortune, or wrong career decisions or painful mistakes. But I just had to start doing things that are different, essentially, and trying to see what works and what sticks. And what some people I've noticed is if they get so locked down in their identity to the point where they're trying to force something that's not working, you have to try something new. I mean, I think you could probably vouch for that as well. But I think this industry of massage is kind of a sinking ship, and we found how fragile it is with this
Yeah.
COVID-19 stuff. So
Well, the sinking ship part, I think people, one, don't realize how young the massage industry is. It's only been since the 1980s that states started passing massage licensure and regulation. So it's a very young industry. The
hmm,
only reason it's gotten to the level of legitimacy that it has is because of massage envy. Because massage envy trained the public into normal, once a month, get a massage, good for your health, good for your stress levels, well-being, inexpensive price point that had people go in. Now, prior to that, I suspect people were concerned, meaning the public was concerned, if they were going to a massage facility, they didn't know if maybe there was other stuff going on. Massage envy got an air of legitimacy in the public's mind that pushed massage further. I mean, we're in the middle of COVID, and massage therapists are mad because people are still calling it massage parlors. They're like, when are they going to school these regulators? It's like, no, when are you going to take out your phone and school those regulators? Because it's your industry, and it's your fault that they look at it that way. It's us. We're the ones who, have contact. Like, it's
yeah.
not the outside world in Hollywood telling people what massage is. It's the fact that Massage therapists take that phone and they're not producing video content to educate the general public about what we do. Massage, as people think of it, has become, and I say this in class regularly, table cream, glide, and nudity. If you take any of those components away, people start to question whether it's massage. And my work takes away the table, takes away the cream, takes away the glide, and takes away the nudity. And what I'm left
Wow.
with, they keep saying this isn't massage. And I'm like, cool. Then I don't have to deal with any licensure in any of the 50 states. And they're like, oh, shit. And I'm like, you know, I'll continue to consult my lawyer. Yeah. I mean, if
Amazing.
you want to go into a realm like what you're talking about Bon and like sort of Asian spiritual tradition, dude, you can make a killing online selling whatever that is if you learn enough about it and feel confident to be able to give people consults or do whatever that is. You know, like I'm always trying to get therapists to go where their heart is. You know, even if all you did was diversify revenue streams by adding it as a component, you're going to be able to draw people that are interested in the thing that you specifically offer.
Thank you for that. And that's kind of exciting too. It's just it's one of those things where you don't realize what you have inside of you until you actually create it and birth it. And really it's kind of an exciting time because, you know, we can't just sit back on our laurels anymore and be like, well, this is going to go back to normal. And, you know, it's exciting, but it's also pretty frightening for people, I bet, as well, because if they're betting on it going back to it being normal, quote unquote normal, then I really I fear for those people, I guess. But I guess I can continue moving forward knowing that that's where the future is either you
Yeah.
adapt and evolve or you
Yes. And
don't.
that's the thing is, one, we got to ask what normal is. It's the only time I've seen a public debate about this, about is life ever going to go back to what it was? It's like, one, things just change. Are we going to adapt and are we going to survive and then thrive? I don't suspect it's going to turn into an episode of The Walking Dead anytime soon. But things will definitely change. It's like this is our, you know, country's Great Depression or whatever of our generation. Like I live in to me, it's a very weird time. Like I'm making TikTok videos and it's 2020 and people are talking about urban sustainability and having their own garden. Because they're like, I can't rely on the store to feed me. You know, it's like they're going victory garden on me. It's like, it's a weird time. I do think within the next year, things will relatively go back to normal, quote unquote. The degree to which is mostly unknown. You know, there is a reason that government, regulators, politicians, religious authorities are basically being cautious because we're trying to protect people's lives. We're also trying to not scare people, but this is biology. Like it's a virus. We don't know. Like, you know, it's like not only is there a virus, viruses mutate and viruses change. I was reading something online and they said they speculate there might be two versions of the same virus and one of them is causing problems because it's more deadly. You know, it's like these are the things. It's like we do not control biology. We cannot escape Earth. We have not figured out with Elon Musk's help how to get to Mars and get away. Like we have to deal with whatever the parameters are. As frightening as that is, I also think that's where the hero's journey comes out. When I
Yep.
talk to business people or massage therapists, I almost always, it's like, what do you want to do? Go do that. Whatever gets you up and gets you fired, you know, get in the morning, like not drag you out of bed, like you're like, yeah, let's go do it, you know. That's what therapists need to do. It doesn't matter if it's just some niche. I love sports massage. Okay, go. Then go study with the best sports massage people you can find and promote sports massage and breathe sports massage and learn sports massage and do sports massage and make sports massage videos. Don't, you're not limited to my bliss, I guess. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not
Totally.
doing Bond anytime soon, but that's just me. I got other stuff going on.
Totally. Yeah, and that's interesting because the way that I think we've gotten to this point is where people aren't taking control of their own destinies and what they want to do or their own hobbies. I think people have started to realize that maybe there is a little bit more to our spirits and our minds than we think. When it shows up in the body is usually a little too late. What happens is, and what we in Bond believe, is that body emanates from the mind, and usually when it shows up in the body as a pattern or something like pain presents itself, it's usually because of something that was planted as seed in your mind first, and then it goes into your body. And those kinds of habitual patterns can really kind of heap a lot of havoc on people's bodies. But if you can fix it in the mind before it becomes before it presents itself in the body, that's usually the place where you want to start first, is the mind. And I was always interested in the mind body connection. I think a lot of people probably are into that as well in the massage community, or in any community. But um, I think it's all about realizing where your mind goes, your energy flows. And I think that's really fascinating to me. So that's why I started doing and studying Bond, was because if you could actually make things happen with your mind, then things might be a little bit easier on the body, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my work grew out of Thai massage, but a lot of it is sort of American get it done ingenuity combined with Thai massage. I'm a white guy. I've never been to Thailand. Like, I took it and said, could you change this? Could you add this? Could I put my knee there? And then other people look at my work and go, well, that's not Thai. Like, in other words, it's not culturally Thai. And I go, ooh, at what point does French food stop being French? Like, you're getting into weird cultural, semantic, and jargon distinctions about something where I'm like, okay, Buddhism. So you talked about Tibetan, which is like Bon, is like a kind of a precursor religion, it sounds like, to Tibetan Buddhism, right? It kind of
Yeah.
influenced Tibetan Buddhism. And then Tibetan Buddhism is part of Mahayana Buddhism. And then Theravadan Buddhism, which is part of like Thai tradition. Thai massage is deeply tied to Theravadan Buddhist tradition. These are two different like kind of branches, people would argue, within Buddhism. It's like, when you remove the cultural context, when you remove some people would say the spiritual context, like, what is it? Does it make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
totally.
you get into these weird, discussions about it. And I was like, okay, hold on. So I'm a white guy living in America and I help people relieve suffering. Isn't that what Buddhism is trying to do? That goes to the core of any tradition in Buddhism. Like,
Totally.
I work on Texans. Like, Bubba comes in with boots on. I'm like, Bubba, take off the boots, get off the tractor, come here, gonna work on you. I don't start teaching him meditation because he's not ready for meditation. His back hurts. He can't sit down. The reason I know Buddhism and meditation is because I had a physical problem. And I
Got it.
used yoga and I used body work to get rid of that. And then once I got rid of it, well, what happened out of my yoga practice is I started meditating. I didn't know that was what I was doing, I think, initially. They were just like, breathe while you do the pose, breathe. But what happens is you kind of take the breathing with you and you're like, oh, those old bastards, they figured it out. Because you're talking about accessing the mind, right?
Yeah.
The way that they access that 9 times out of 10 is like they're going back to some form of breathing exercise. And that breathing is voluntary and involuntary. You can hold your breath until you pass out. And then your body's going to kick on and breathe for you because it's not something you have to think about. Make sense? That's not
Totally.
that part of your nervous system. But the breathing is the way in. The breathing is the way you start to deal with sympathetic, parasympathetic, and the different branches of your nervous system. Like when I tell people, can you breathe a certain way and slow down your heart rate? They're like, no, that's not how that works. And I'm like, oh, you think so? It's like, you think I can't lower my heart rate and blood pressure at will? And they're like, what? And I'm like, breathing exercises, that's what it does.
Well, and then placement of the tongue too can access certain channels and stuff, right? So that's something you figured out, I'm sure, to like help people with, and it's all very interesting to me. But with enlightenment, I think what happened, and not to get too like into religious views or differing views or whatever, but enlightenment really is, there's actual a test for that, and it is emitting what they call the white light of a triple sun in a box for 33 days with no food or water, being able to emit the white light of a triple sun using your own body's energy, and pulling energy from the void, and being able to have it go through your tree and have you produce that light, and actually be able to sprout a seed that you have in this box with no water and no sunlight. It was actually like the real test in like the ancient days. And now unfortunately what enlightenment has become something that, oh, well, I'll be able to just die and I'll reach enlightenment, with no problem, with no training or what have you. And with that, I think it's like with any other religion, like with Catholicism or Christianity, it was, we're gonna steal these texts and these scriptures or these tablets, whatever was written on this, and call it our own. We're going to bastardize these teachings so we have no idea how it works. We're going to basically take these as our own, and we're going to basically make this and call it and rebrand it and call it something else. And then we're just going to beat those guys that we took it from, and stamp them out and beat them bloody to a pulp, or kill them, or kill their families, get rid of them. And call it something different. And that's been happening for ages.
So even Buddhism, like there's Zen Buddhism and there's Mahayana Buddhism, and Theravada Buddhism, and like on and on and on. Like, Chinese form of Buddhism, like, and probably will continue to evolve as most religions do. I always go back to the spiritual core, and I have a strong draw towards Buddhism generally. And it's like, okay, because we can philosophically speculate about, what is enlightenment. I'm like, does it ease suffering? Then I'm a fan. Oh, you're a Catholic? Okay, does that ease suffering? Then I'm a fan. Like, I don't make those distinctions. And as an American, like, oh man, so America's a new country. It's very young. We think it's old because it was 1776, but I've been to Greece and Turkey. I've seen old. That shit's old. Like, the Blue Mosque and Hagia Sophia is old, bro. Like, it's like he got tired of being in Greece and seeing 6,000-year-old like artifacts. That's sort of old. It's like if I went to Egypt and went to the pyramids, that's sort of old. It's like America's a new country, but America, is sort of invested on young and new and vibrant and changing. Like, America's kind of like a prepubescent teen just trying to figure it out as a country, is kind of how it feels, right? We're kind of annoying our world neighbors because they're like, would you stop it? you're like 13. What is wrong with you?
Seriously.
I think in the end, I always go back to a sort of non-denominational sort of spiritual path that I personally feel is not religious. When people try to say, oh, you're Buddhist, I'm like, no. I'm a Robert, and they're like, and I was a philosophy student. I had a focus on ethics and existentialism, right behavior, and man's place in the universe. I'm well read for most part, on Buddhism and other Asian traditions, like within yoga, for instance. I'm deeply inspired by them and use tools from them, including Thai massage, but I don't fully commit. Does it make sense?
Got it.
I haven't joined anybody's church in a long time, and I'm like, once they start trying to get me to, I'm like, hey, I just kind of do my own thing. But Americans, as Buddhists, for instance, and this says a lot about America, American Buddhists borrow. They listen to the Dalai Lama, they listen to Lama Surya Das, they listen to Ram Dass, they listen to Shunryu Suzuki, who's a Zen lineage. They listen to like a really wide range of people in Buddhist thought without necessarily committing to one specific lineage. That's a very American way of dealing with Buddhism. Does it make sense?
Totally.
Because it
So
used to be like Zen was in Japan. Once it got there, it kind of stayed there, and it like had its own little local influences. Make sense? Just like Bon, the pre-Tibetan, Buddhist religion in Tibet probably influenced what came after it.
totally. And I think with that, it's that's where it's uncharted territory. It's the online learning thing is where it's at. And my master actually started a school, and it's on Teachable. Isn't your platform on Teachable too, Robert? Yeah. How are you liking that, by the way? Because
So I like Teachable compared to other platforms, but I'm also biased because it's the one I know. And once you learn a platform, I'm not likely to want to jump off of that platform to somewhere else unless the price goes up some huge fee, or there's some sort of functional difference with another platform that makes me want to switch.
so it delivers on the objectives that you set out for.
Teachable, do you have a Facebook business page?
Yeah.
You can share a photo, you can share a video, you can share some text. Basically, that's what Teachable does. It just does it behind a paywall. Does it make sense?
Oh, okay.
Same basic idea, if I could make it simple. It's a little more complicated in the way that it has to be structured and set up and maintained. But yeah, I use Teachable. It's a fairly easy platform to learn how to use. You could probably find YouTube tutorials on it. It was the one that a former colleague of mine that I was working with, he had used it previously, so he was able to kind of walk me through the beginning until I kind of got my feet wet and then could figure out how to start mining the platform for what else it could do. Yeah.
Got it. Because I was looking into that with using that for the foam rolling stuff too. So I'm kind of interested what, did it take you a while to learn it, or was it pretty easy to
Yeah,
learn?
I think it took probably about 6 months for me to get to feel like more of an adept, where I then had to go read FAQs and watch YouTube tutorials how to do additional things. The initial use of it was quite simple, and then that's gotten to the point where, do you know what a drip course is?
No.
So this was my just learning curve. So I used to just I put stuff up on Teachable, people had access. Awesome. And then you start giving it nuance, and you add a file, and you add some text, and you add and you add and you add. And then there was a drip course, and the drip course is structured in such a way where, let's say you make a course and there's 4 lectures, and you want those lectures to come out each week. You structure the drip course so that there's a timing sequence for when this is available, and this is available, and this is available. As this lecture becomes available, it also automates an email to that person to let them know that this is available. Does it make sense?
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it was like, even within just Teachable's platform, I had to learn kind of slowly, walking into their platform, how to structure some of that material.
Got it. That's pretty cool. And looking at different platforms, I have most of my stuff on Facebook as like a free group or whatnot, just because it ties them to identities and stuff, that I can look at certain social media aspects of it. But I'm kind of looking at maybe taking it off of the Facebook platform at some point, just so that I don't have to rely on it as being the only
So
platform.
here's what I would do, and this is what I did. Okay, keep the group you have now. Set up your stuff on Teachable, and for the people who pay, however they do that, make a private Facebook group for them. So the people who are paying you, you now have a little Facebook group just for them, because they're paying you. You're giving them more additional content, more information. You also are able to get information from them about what else they may be interested in. Does it make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
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 Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I have a lot of brass tacks. I'm like, figure it out.
I
Teachable's fairly easy to use if you have curriculum and stuff. The other part I noticed was there was a huge shift in my educational process, which is still going on. When I started making materials, what happened was it's like it all lives up here in my brain. But when I start putting it on paper and I start putting it in video form and I started organizing it on Teachable, you started to see how people learned. And I tend, just like this podcast might be 2 hours long. I have people tell me people won't listen to a 2 hour podcast. And I say, fans will. Make sense? So
totally.
the thing is like I tend to be long winded. Like people keep asking me, like they'll ask me, do you ever have writer's block? And I'm like, what?
What's that?
Like, that's not, I mean, I know that thing exists. That has never been my issue. I got the gift of gab. So what happens is if you take something that's long winded, how do you break it into little sequential pieces? That is a challenge for me. And I'm learning because I'm teaching and taking, these long voluminous thoughts and putting it together in a sequence that the students can learn the basic scales so they can start playing jazz. That process in education, I think you'll actually be surprised at how much you learn about yourself and how much you learn about the students if you have a private Facebook group and you can continue feeding them content, interacting with them, because the students are really the ones that shape my curriculum. They ask a question, and when I start hearing the same question again and again, I go, is my curriculum not addressing that? And then I start making video content related to those questions. Make sense?
So yeah, you're almost it's giving them what they're interested in, really. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
because that's where I'm starting to see. Okay, well, what do they want here in, so that you're not talking to a brick wall.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's complexity. Like some people don't like the Facebook groups, or, well, I'm not on Facebook. I hear that occasionally. And it's like, listen, I just do the best I can. Facebook groups are fairly easy to use and they're set up in a very easy to access way, as opposed to me doing what? Creating some sort of group on my website that you had to log in. Like that would be an inordinate amount of work. It's much easier to just use Facebook to be able to start that process.
Totally. And that's where I'm thinking to myself, well, if I were doing it the textbook way of what these like funnel marketer people would be saying to me, would be saying, well, build your email list and give them an
Yeah.
opt-in page and doing it. But people have just gotten so used to logging onto Facebook
Yep.
and whatever to just.
I think Facebook, I would start even before you got Teachable, because the Facebook group is free. Like I would almost start the Facebook group now if you haven't already.
for the
Um,
for the for the people that are paying clients, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
or however you structure it. I mean, it's all up to you. It's
Because
just,
that my free group is free, and there's
mhm,
only like about 51 people in it, and I
yeah,
started about a year ago. But yeah, I think that'd probably be a smart idea to kind of make an exclusive kind of different group, and then
yeah,
start putting more tailored content to them. Because thank you for that.
yeah. I don't know. I only know what I do. I'm just as limited. Like when you talk about what other marketers would do, um, I think I speak a common language with some of them, but there's a tendency I've noticed where online marketers start sometimes, I've noticed an exaggeration where they start to treat people like numbers. They want to squeeze the algorithm to get more followers, subscribers, people who purchase. And I keep going, hold on, whoa, 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 whoa. Why don't we just give people more value? And they're like,
Quality.
wait, but I don't make money. And I'm like, ooh, we have a fundamental, like, listen, I will use a funnel. Like I'll run an ad. I'll use a sequence like, of emails or whatever it is. It's like, but at the same time, what I think they don't understand is I'm having this podcast with you. because you had a Facebook conversation with me. And I said, hey, this is good. This is good stuff. You're asking good questions. You want to come on the podcast? And you were like, oh, wow, sure, yeah. Are you, because we've done this podcast and because we've shared and talked with each other, are you now much more likely to eventually purchase some of my educational materials or curriculum?
Absolutely.
Because it's about connection.
Relationships, yes.
And this digital relationship is the thing that I think a lot of therapists just don't see. And then digital marketers see it, but it's like marketers see it, but they're trying to
Sale.
extract, money out of the clients. And it's like, okay, sure. I do in fact want people to pay me so that I can continue building. But in the end, it's always going to go back to the fact that people buy from me because they like, know, and trust me. If they don't, if I treated you like you're just waiting for me to get another payday, like look, when the students are like, hey man, I need a refund. That class is canceled. And I go, hey, Daniel, listen, I'm going to refund your money. Just give me some time. I'm just like everybody else. I'm working out my finances. And he's like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. That little bit of communication about that process, about me valuing the fact that he wants his money back, and that he values the fact that I'm doing all this additional labor to refund him even though the class didn't happen. That connection builds a sort of trust and a sort of digital intimacy that I think is real. People can tell through my social media that Robert is just a real guy. And I really bank in a financial sense from that. One, it's lazy for me to be authentic. Don't have to put on a facade. Don't have to dress up. Don't have to cut my hair. Just be me. The other part is heart and actual connection and caring about people translates into sales long term.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think that's the things that they can't really teach you, though. And talk about like how America was founded, but I remember when I was growing up as a little kid, at the local like True Value hardware store that was owned by the family of the kid that you went to school with. It's kind of like that kind of relationship where you go, I know Robert, I have a relationship with him. I'm not looking at you like you're some other big box store, like company,
Yeah.
or corporation. Like that's, that doesn't provide or really care about that that relationship. But it's like, yeah, like those marketers do like to kind of squeeze out that from the transaction. And they're all about scaling things, whereas I think yours scales, but it may be more of a different trajectory. And
I do think, and I'm dealing with digital distribution of information. I'm painfully aware of the fact that this scales globally. And listen, this is the battle I've been fighting for years. Our subscription service is run for 3 years. It is basically free for your first month. You put in a credit card, but it's not going to bill you for a month. You can unsubscribe at any time. I have had people that have worked with me that I pay fight me tooth and nail because they want me to raise the subscription fee of $7. They're like, you're not making any money. And I'm like, I just paid you, not the other way around. Like, I do
well,
make money. I just make $7 a month. And they're like, but that doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, no, it doesn't make any sense to you because you're not an entrepreneur and you're trying to make sausage. You're trying to jump on top and push people down and like run them through a grinder to extract money out of them. I'm saying, go find more people. Go find more people who like what I do.
light
You have
hand
access to a
light,
global marketplace. I'm not doing a massage. I'm selling information.
and more hands make light work, right? Or in terms of like, if you're wanting to, if you did want to like make it more expensive for your subscription service a month,
Yeah.
I think more people would opt in to spend the $7 a month versus
So let's
the
say it was 100. Let's say it's $100 a month. And I think what I offer, by the way, is worth $100 a month. I
absolutely.
absolutely think that. Why do I not
Mhm.
raise the fee to $100 a month?
Uh, why wouldn't you? Well, I think you'd probably alienate uh, a, a, a potential big time market there from making it more expensive would be there's a whole lot of implications there, but it's you want it to be available globally, not just to a
Yes.
certain specific.
Yes. And here's the thing, people think that I'm just trying to hit the US marketplace, where I understand that therapists who make income probably could afford $100 a month. But I have to provide them enough value at $100 a month, which is a more difficult and challenging proposition, one. The other part is when you're in other countries like Australia, Australia is an English speaking country. People in Australia, in addition to that $7, they add on a tax. It might cost somebody in Australia $11 a month. And I can't do anything about that tax. That's their country doing that. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Somebody can be in Madras in India. Can they afford $7 a month when you go through the exchange rate and if there are taxes in India? Can you afford it if you live somewhere in Siberia? Can you afford it if you live in the southern tip of, Argentina? I'm looking at a global marketplace. I'm
Hmm.
not interested in trying to just limit myself to the United States. I'm actually trying to mass distribute something globally. I'm not interested in just hitting a US marketplace. My goal is to teach in Istanbul, to teach in Tokyo, to teach in South Africa. My goal is to have somebody on their phone, Instagram messaging me from sub-Saharan Africa because they're telling me that they're working on people in their village and making money doing what I teach. That's what I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That has a lot of that has a lot of implications. Just it just makes a whole lot more sense when you talk about it that way instead of. It's funny that we were talking about just like the U.S. like landscape in terms of like legal stuff, but like this the way that you're teaching it really could be, you know, teaching some doctor in some remote place how to do it a certain way, and
Yeah.
then yeah, or someone that isn't even a doctor, someone that's just learning it from the
Well,
ground.
it also, if you have a country in poverty, and I'm going to make an assumption here. I've got a couple of subscribers from Colombia. I think one from Bogota and another from Medellin. But let's say you were in a small town in Colombia, but you still had internet access, and
Mhm.
you're from a poor family in like a little shanty town. I'm talking about like third world poverty, not U.S. poverty, third world poverty. Could someone learn something from me that they can use on their friends and family and loved ones for $7 a month? My hope is yes, and really that's what I'm going towards. It's I'm not getting rid of American massage therapists, but I think those people need it just as much, if not more. Does it make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the public, in Bogota or Medellin. It's like that's the sort of thing that I keep looking at. That um, I went from delivering a service that was hands-on in person. There was no way for me to do it otherwise, to selling digital information products globally. Those are two very, very different businesses. And I think that's been some of the fundamental confusion with the massage industry. People still look at it like Robert's a massage therapist. And I'm like, yeah, like I still see clients, but that's not what I'm really primarily trying to do forever.
Definitely. Well, it's been a very very great conversation, and I definitely am looking forward um, to looking at more of your stuff in your content in your class. I think I have an account with you. But yeah, $7 is not a lot of money, that's for sure. And there's a lot of content that you have out there. I'm really interested to check out more of your videos and stuff that you've made in that kind of content. So I look forward to looking that up more and keeping in contact with you. But I appreciate your time and uh, gonna probably eat some dinner here. I'm getting a little hungry, but
How long we been at it?
I think for almost about 2 hours,
Yeah.
coming up on the hour.
Yeah. All right.
But that was great.
So cool. Do you have any questions before we head out of here?
Really, I think the Massage Entrepreneurs Group. I want to look at what people's final responses are in those numbers, but I'm looking at it from like a marketing standpoint. It's like, well, how about is this group? They're more in that probably that massage therapist mindset. But
Yes, absolutely.
my question would just be, moving forward, can uh, can I continue to look into this group a little bit more to see if I can learn anything from a marketing standpoint? I guess, do I think in the future, I think if I message you and kind of ask you questions, will you be continuing to take questions like that? I guess.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh,
And the reason I take those questions is, one, I like forming connections with other people and other therapists. And really, to me, I think about this constantly. I make money because I will talk to people on Facebook Messenger. You're much more likely to eventually buy a class or an online class or whatever, or assist me in some way because we had this sort of exchange. And that's why I keep my inbox open to being able to communicate with subscribers or fans, because fans and followers are the people who wind up paying me and becoming clients and students.
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Robert.
Yeah. So listen, can you tell everybody where they can find you again?
Yeah, so I got my Blue Tiger Wellness page on Facebook, as well as my Foam Rolling Secrets group on Facebook. It's facebook.com/groups/foam rolling secrets. If you're interested in learning about foam rolling and uh, getting in contact with your body. I'm calling it the new self massage is the new yoga, but oh my gosh, like better not call it massage, but I'm calling it self massage is the new yoga is kind of my tagline. Um, and other than that, you can find me on Instagram, Blue Tiger Wellness, and Minds as well. I'm starting to use Minds a little bit more often, as I'm sure you are probably as well, Robert.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's about it. You can contact me. My personal page is Brenden Brown. That's Brenden, and last name is Brown as well.
Cool. So listen, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really, really appreciated all the camaraderie and discussion. I'll talk to all of you again soon, and thank you for participating and listening to the Robert Gardner Wellness podcast.